Okay, so first of all, I just want to welcome you all to our course this term, which is Quran 110, the oft recited surahs. We are, as you are all aware, going to be basically going through the tafsir of Surah Al-Kahf first of all, and the Surah Al-Kahf lessons will last for about 5 weeks, and then we'll have a tafsir of Surah Al-Waqi'ah, which will also last for about 5 weeks. Then a tafsir of Surah Yasin, which will last for about 3 weeks. Now, the little thing I wanted to basically talk about this week is a little presentation I always like to do at the beginning of the Quran 110 class. I've done it for the last 2 terms. I'll do it this term, and inshallah I'll do it every other term I ever teach this course. It's one of those things that don't get boring by repetition. It's one of those things which really, if one hears them every 3 months, which is the benefit I get, then I just get to hear it every 3 months whenever I do it. If one hears it every 3 months, one's just doing oneself a service. Because the human being is fairly smart, he's got a good mind, quite intelligent, but at the same time, he's fairly forgetful. And there's some very useful and very interesting, very key points of knowledge that we need to be aware of, and we often forget them. And so these points of knowledge, it's nice to get them, repeated every so often. One just hears them again, so one can, see how one is doing exactly. And this presentation I'm going to talk about right now is very significant to our time here together studying the tafsir of these oft recited surahs. It's because ultimately we're studying the tafsir because we want to appreciate something. We want these meanings that are in these verses in the Quran, we want them to enter our hearts. The reason why we're all here ultimately is because we want to be changed by this course. We want to learn something we didn't know so that we can actually do something that we haven't been doing before. Either we want to improve our practice, improve our knowledge, improve our insight. All these things in reality are gifts. True insight is the greatest of gifts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Whoever is given true wisdom has been given a great gift, and a great giving, and a great excellent thing. He's been given a lot of good in the words of the Quran. And so ultimately we intend to be learning wisdom in our time here together. Not from myself, but from the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the interpretations given to these verses by the scholars of this ummah. May Allah bless them and reward them on our behalf, and make our every lesson and every benefit a reward for them in their graves. Radiallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in, the ulama of Islam. And so we intend to be gaining wisdom from these sources. But wisdom is a very precious thing. And wisdom is something whose seat isn't in the mind. Its seat is in the heart. And so when you listen to these lessons, and ultimately we want to then go and recite the Quran and benefit from our reciting the Quran, so that we can, after these lessons, when we can take the knowledge or take the barakah or the wisdom from the Quran, the scholars have always said, well, there's something you need in your hand. There's a key you need to be holding in your hand, which if you do, you can unlock the treasures of the Quran, and you can enter therein, and you can have insights like the scholars had insights, and you can be changed like the ulama were changed. And what is this key? A key which if you have it in your hand, you can unlock the door and you can enter to the world of the Quran. Or you can toss the key away and knock on the door and bang on the door and bang on the door and bang on the door, and perhaps somebody will toss out a morsel and you can chew on and say, oh, alhamdulillah, I've eaten something. There's a big difference between entering the palace and it's being fed outside the gates. And what is this key? Traditionally the Muslims have always seen that the key to all good and the key to all knowledge is a word they termed adab.